Good evening. Thank you for joining us at WMGLD for tonight's information session on our electric vehicle programs and our new electric vehicle time of use rate. The goal tonight is to really just share information about all the programs that we currently have, in addition to the new program around a time of use rate, which may be beneficial to some of our customers depending on how they plan to use and charge their electric vehicle. Joining us tonight are one of our commissioners, Sharon Daly, as well as Mark Cousins, who's our Finance and Customer Service Manager, Dave Polson, our Engineering and Operations Manager, and Joe Collins, who's going to make our presentation tonight as the Business Analyst for our Energy Services programs. So without much ado, I will turn it over to you, Joe.
Right. Assume everybody can see this fine. So as Pete kind of gave an intro to it, this customer info sessions about our electric vehicle programs, with a special focus on one of our newest programs, which is the EV time of use rate. So just an overview of what this customer info session will cover. It's going to be an overview of electric vehicle charging in town. It's to educate our customers on our EV offerings. And also with that, it's to help customers best take advantage of our EV options to see which one is best fitting for each situation, because everyone's situation could be different. And one program might be more appealing to one person than another. So just an interesting tidbit of background here. So there's this big move towards electric vehicles. I'm sure because you're watching this session, you're up to date on that kind of information. So one piece of interesting information is Massachusetts is 12th in all electric vehicle registrations. This is updated from December 31st of 2021. And Massachusetts is committed to 750,000 electric vehicles by 2030. So electric vehicles are only going to be growing, and you'll see more of them out there. Just to go over a few key terms as we go through this customer info session, there's three types of chargers. There's a level 1, which is a wall plug. That's the lowest output, but the benefit is you can just plug it into a wall outlet. There's the level 2, which is very common if you have an all-electric vehicle, which is the highest output for traditional residential applications. And then there's also the DC fast charger, also known as a level 3. And this is a commercial grade high output charger. So the difference between the chargers is denoted by the graphic below. It's kind of a good graphic to explain it a little bit better too, in the terms of how long would it take you to charge your vehicle. So a level 1 adds about 5 miles per hour of charge, very low. A level 2 adds 20 to 60 miles per hour of charge. And then the DC fast charger, or level 3, can add up to 60 to 100 miles per 20 minutes. So there's definitely big differences, big jumps in between each of the chargers. Additionally, peak times is something that we're going to refer to a pretty decent amount in this presentation today. So peak times refer to the time of day where electric usage as a town, region, state, it depends how you're looking at it, is at its highest. Usually it's from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. So, and then another term that's obviously very important is time of use rate. So this refers to an alternative rate structure that customers will get a discounted rate when not charging during these 4 to 9 period. And then if they charge on that period, they'll be charged a premium for any electricity usage. So in town over the last 4 years, WMGLD has installed public chargers at 4 different locations in town. The newest ones were installed at the beginning of 2023 at the head of the lake at Quannapowitt Parkway, right near the hot dog stand over there. So there's 2 DC fast chargers. So these are the high output. You can charge in 20 to 40 minutes, depending on how much charge you have in your car. Additionally, another DC fast charger is located at Lincoln Street Public Parking. And then there's also a few level 2s, Veterans Field, and then the Civic Center. So the new chargers that were just installed at the head of the lake have been receiving a ton of usage. Just it's in a very popular spot if people are walking the lake. And so all of these chargers are available to see on PlugShare and the ChargePoint app. So they're readily available for people who are in the area to use. So a quick overview of the 3 programs we're going to be talking about today. The newest one is the separate meter EV time of use rate and upgrade incentive that goes along with that. This is our newest offering, and it has the highest potential for long-term savings. Another program that we're looking at is Connected Homes. So this is the lowest commitment and investment. And then the last program is the level 2 charger with scheduled 3 years charging agreement program. So this basically, if you have an all-electric vehicle, we provide you with a free level 2 charger, and then you sign a 3-year charging agreement along with that, so that at peak times you won't be charging. So getting into the new program, the EV separate meter charging program it's a separate meter installed exclusively for residential EV charging. So the only thing that will be hooked up to this separate meter will be the EV charger. And it's a special time of use meter for which we provide. And it keeps track of the charging times, and it knows if you're charging on peak, off peak, and then the billing system talks to that and will charge you accordingly. So having this program, it allows you to enroll into this special EV time of use rate, which is the EVM-TOU. The time of use rate structure is as follows. It's 5 cents per kilowatt hour reduction off the energy charge for off-peak charging. So when you're not charging from 4 to 9, you get a 5 cent discount on all electricity that you're using. And in this case, it would be charging specifically, because that's the only thing you can hook up to it. Although the drawback is there's a premium if you charge on peak. It's a 500% increase, so it brings up the energy charge to 45 cents. And currently 4 to 9 is that period. So EV chargers, they're in a good spot with meeting this 4 to 9 time window, because a lot of times people can schedule charging overnight, and with a level 2 charger, 8, 9, 10 hours, however long you're going to be charging it overnight, should get you a sufficient amount of charge for the rest of the day into the next night. So it's giving an opportunity to have a 5 cent reduction on all of that electricity that you're using. And one thing to note is there's a 1-year minimum from using this rate structure if you receive the incentive that I'm going to talk about later on. So this is an example bill of the EV time of use rate. So up top, you'll see where the meters are denoted there. The meters will be a T meter for time of use, and it will be broken down based on off-peak and on-peak. If you look all the way to the right, you can see the rate says TOU off and TOU on. It will show you how many kilowatt hours you use on and off peak, and those numbers will correspond below to where the electric charges are. For this example, we wouldn't want to see someone be using 50 kilowatt hours on, but it's more of an example just to show the differences. So additionally, there's a $2 customer charge that goes along with this meter. So a regular meter would be $6 customer charge plus the $2 for this additional meter, thus arriving at the $8 that you see there highlighted. And the way the energy charge works is the unhighlighted energy charge there is the regular energy charge for your regular house meter. It shows the 617 usage that you had multiplied by the rate. Under that is the 5-cent off-peak discount energy charge, which corresponds to the meter above the meter reading for the off-peak. And then under that, the same thing with the on-peak. It shows the energy charge and the 50 usage, as well as the 50 usage up top. It's important to note as well that for charges that are applicable to all rates, the usage is accumulated. So for example, under the distribution charge, you can see there it's 767 kilowatt hours. This is adding up the 617 plus the 100 plus the 50, because the distribution charge is not different no matter what rate and what meter you're on. So the financial benefits can be very significant for this specific rate, especially the more you can charge off peak, the better off it's going to be for each individual customer. The graph on the left shows it in terms of cost per mile in cents. So the top line graph shows an internal combustion engine, a gas vehicle, over a historical, looking back to January of 2021 using real-time pricing for each month. That shows where the cost per mile is in cents for internal combustion. And then below that, we have, if you were on our regular electric rate, that's where that would be at. Under that, you have, if you're doing 95% of your charging off peak and you have the time of use rate, and then the best case scenario is that green line under that, which would be 100% of your charging off peak while you have this special rate. So if you're using the rate to its full advantage on average, and since January 2021, you'd be doing about 9 cents per mile better than a traditional gas vehicle. On the right, this chart shows the importance of charging two things: charging on peak and how much monthly usage you have. The chart helps you figure out what your actual savings will be. So if you know how often you use your EV, how many kilowatt hours you're using per month, and you feel confident that you can do 100% of your charging off peak, you find your monthly usage on the left, you see what percentage, let's say 100, you go to that row and you see what your monthly benefit would be. And then on the right, it shows it in terms of annual. Now, this program can be a huge impact for if you have 2 EVs or 2 chargers hooked up and using a lot of kilowatt hours. You can very much lower your energy costs. And in turn, it helps us lower the peak as well. So there's a guide on the website with these steps as well, but I figured it would be beneficial to go through them right here as well. So the steps to getting an EV time of use meter is, first, you want to look at the guide. You want to fully understand it. You want to watch this video. And after that, if you feel that this is a program for you, you can contract a licensed electrician to install the upgrades that are needed for this separate service, as well as the charger that goes in, the level 2 charger. And then you'll be able to fill out a service form, which it's listed, the link is listed there for where you would go. There's a special EV meter time of use rate application form, and you would fill this out. And similar to how regular service application forms are, then we would set up a time to come install the meter. So this is a special time of use meter, and it will be installed. Once that's done, and if you want to submit for reimbursement of service upgrade costs up to $1,250, you have to follow the attached instructions there's a rebate form on the website that will walk you through what specific things you need. For example, you'll need to show proof of EV ownership, and you'll have to have an invoice from your licensed electrician showing the work that was done. Once the rebate is reviewed, and approved from us, you'll receive a credit on your bill of $12.50, generally within 4 to 6 weeks. It's important to note that if you're already enrolled in one of our other EV programs, you cannot enroll in this program. So Dave, I don't know if you want to cover this example slide.
Yes, so thank you, Joe. This is an example of a service upgrade. The customer went from 200 amps to 400 amp service, and the reason for the upgrade was the added load for heat pumps and time of use EV meter. So the customer installed a new service, which allowed them to add more load to their existing service. So one panel will be used for the house service, and then the second 200 amp panel will be used for heat pump load. And then the third panel is a 100 amp panel that will be used for 2 EVs in their garage. Now, there's been some question, some electricians aren't exactly sure how it would be wired, but the intent is that the time of use meter is wired before the house meter, so that you're not being billed twice. So both meters come off the service entrance. That way there you have separately billed meters, and then from the time of use EV meter, then it goes over to the panel that would contain your breakers for EV chargers. And all of this would be sized based on the load, the building load. That'd be sized by and designed and laid out by a licensed electrician and approved by the town's wire inspector as well. So this is just a sample to illustrate for your conversation with electrician if you want to pursue this.
Thanks, Dave. All right, so now that we've kind of covered the time of use rate in that program, I figured it would be beneficial to see the alternative EV programs, because you can only be part of one at a time. So Connected Homes is another program. It's not even an EV specific program. It's actually a program that allows you to connect qualifying smart devices. And the way this program works is those enrolled devices, commands get sent out to those enrolled devices during monthly peak events when electricity is projected to be at its highest in the region. And for instance, for an EV charger, it would turn your EV charger off, let's say, or for a thermostat, the command might be in the wintertime, it might increase your thermostat up a few degrees, maybe 5 degrees. And the benefit of this program is you can be enrolled, and if in that particular month or situation, if you don't want to have that command be executed, you can opt out. And for that particular month, you would not get the monthly incentive that's associated with whatever device that is connected. So there's a monthly rebate on your bill for accepting these commands. For this program, it's one of 2 level 2 charger brands that you can hook up, ChargePoint or JuiceBox. Emporia will be coming soon in the next couple of months, but ChargePoint and JuiceBox are pretty heavy hitters in the space anyway. So as mentioned before, you cannot have the EV time of use rate or be within the 3-year charging agreement to enroll your EV charger. However, you can be part of the Connected Homes program with other smart devices. So it's just the EV charger that can't be enrolled with this program or into one of our other programs. So the other alternative program is the scheduled charging agreement program, where you get a free level 2 charger. It's a ChargePoint charger from us, and we have your electrician come pick it up and sign for it, and then install it and be enrolled in a 3-year charging agreement. So the 3-year charging agreement is from 4 to 9 or for whatever the peak times are for a specific day on weekdays, not including holidays, your charge will be reduced from that level 2 output that we talked about before to the level 1 output for just that peak period. After that or overnight, similar to the time of use rate, you can schedule the overnight charging and basically you miss that drop because it's if you can schedule it, that's beneficial. So as it's been stated before, you can't take advantage of the other programs when you're on this. You have to either wait till your charging agreement is over, or you can pay the prorated portion for what's left of that charger to remove yourself from the program and then enroll yourself into one of the other programs. To sign up for this program is listed there. So the requirements for this program are: you sign a charging agreement and fill out the online application. You prove your EV ownership. We approve your application if everything checks out. A licensed electrician has to pick up the charger for which we have stored at the Gas and Light. And then you have to sign up the installed charger for this scheduled charging program. So kind of looking at all the programs together, the real benefits to the program are listed here. I mean, so that's positively impacting the environment through support and decarbonization, electrification. It's assisting us in managing peak electricity usage on the grid. And also it's offering customers an opportunity to save money on their utility bills each month. So with that, that's all I had for information, but if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Joe, I'll ask a question just so you can have some information.
Absolutely.
If I want to get a free electric charger, but I want to go right on the time of use rate, can I do that?
No, so you can't both get the free charger from our free charging program and be on the time of use rate. If you haven't got the free charger yet from us and you haven't signed the agreement, you could look into this program and do that one instead. But if you're already within the 3-year charging agreement, you might as well ride that out until the end. And then at the end of that, you can look at either joining the Connected Homes program, or if you're still very interested in the time of use rate, you can jump on that.
So if I were considering the time of use rate and I knew I could come home at 4 or 5 o'clock and program my charger to not start charging my car till 9 o'clock every night, I'd save 5 cents on every kilowatt hour I charged, right?
Yep, exactly. So, and that's the thing, is because the level 2 charger has a better output than a level 1 or wall plug, in most situations, depending on how far you have to drive or where you work and what times you work, overnight charging is oftentimes what people do anyway. And just shifting that behavior, maybe you usually started charging at 7, but now you just shifted to 9:01. And then you missed those 2 hours, but you probably didn't need that extra 2 hours. You probably have a sufficient amount of charge overnight still for the next day.
And it's true, Joe, that most of these chargers, I could still come home at 5, plug it in and just program it in advance that I don't want it to start charging till 9, correct?
Yeah, exactly. That's the benefit of most electric vehicles, is that you can schedule charging. You can schedule it when you get home and have it plugged in, and it will kick on at 9:01. So you don't even have to have a second thought about it.
Joe, I had a quick question. You had mentioned on the Connected Homes program that the chargers that would, kind of qualify would be, I think you named ChargePoint, maybe Juicebox, and a couple of other ones. But on the EV time of use rate, is that charger specific, or would any charger work under the time of use rate?
So that's a good question. It's any level 2 charger would work under this time of use rate. So that's another additional benefit of the program. It gives you the ability to go out and get, whether if you have a Tesla and you really want the Tesla charger, this allows you to go get that, hook that up to your time of use rate and have that charger instead. Whereas the other two programs, you need to have, you're going to have one of these two chargers and that's about it.
The key to this time of use rate is that it doesn't rely on a internet connection to another party in any way. The meters there 7x24 and your charging habits or whatever they are, it doesn't need to be controlled by us in any way, right?
No, that's what it is. It's left up to the customer, and it's important. It's to note it's an optional rate too. You don't have to go on this. There's two other programs that are very different. They all achieve a similar goal, but there's three very different options, and each one has its benefits and drawbacks depending on who is the person is and their schedule and how they live their life.
Joe, I have a question. For those people out there, for customers that already, sprung for a charger, a level 2 charger in their home, and they want to participate in one of these programs, but their charger is already connected to their existing meter, what would you recommend?
So that's a good question.
So I think, well, the first thing would be, depending on what type of charger it is, might restrict what, if you already own the charger, is it one of the ones that would work on our Connected Homes program? If it isn't, then you'd have to switch to one of those if you chose to be on a Connected Homes type program. However, the time of use rate is, as Mark and Joe said, is not charger specific. So therefore, that may be a better option for you. The other side of that, though, is that you would have to install a separate meter for that. But as Joe said, we're including the incentive of $1,250 to help defray that cost.
Okay, thank you.
Joe, a question. All our programs focus on off-peak charging. Why is there such a focus on not charging during those peak hours during the day?
Yeah, so it's important at those peak times during the day. That's when the electric grid is under the most stress. So to not be charging and using electricity at those peak times is a very big benefit for us and for everyone, for reliability's sake, and for peak shaving purposes. And so that's what I'd have to say about those specific times. And it doesn't always have to be 4 to 9. It could be a different time, but that's generally where the peak for a day, the most electricity usage during a weekday is going to land.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of cost to the ratepayers overall, we pay a premium for what we're using at the peak time each month. We pay an additional transmission charge, and we pay a capacity charge based on what we use on the peak day each year. So there's impacts on the cost to every ratepayer of where we are at the peak times. And so that's why you'll hear us talking a lot about how to curb that peak as much as possible, because it is a partial driver of cost as well. Hopefully this session proved informational, and we all try to come up with some questions that might be informative, and I appreciate that. And hopefully, also I would just strongly encourage that if anybody watches this video and their question was not answered in any way, as Joe showed in many of the slides, just reach out to us. There's application forms, there's contact information, and there's lots of ways to get in touch with us to kind of go through it if you're having concerns, questions about any of the programs and how they can benefit you. We strongly encourage you to reach out to us.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Sharon, for joining us.
Thank you.
David, Mark. Bye.
Good night.